720 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're on. This is Thunder Thursday, man. It is. What?
It wakes me up every time you say that. And I every time after agreeing to do this, Tony.
Right.
By the way, go ahead. You introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is Tony Marmo and Judge.
I'm Donald Williams. Nice to be with everybody this morning.
So I brought you into this.
You brought me into this, and I said, this is great. This retirement is a little tough. I want to be back on the bench yelling at lawyers. So I came in. But then I have to admit, Tony, and we're fellow Italians.
Yes, we are.
I don't know a lot of Italian, but I do know certain parts of Italian.
Right.
And at 5:30 in the morning when I'm awakening, I mention you.
Yeah, thank you.
And there's some Italian that goes along with it.
I get it.
I don't think we're permitted to say that on radio. Yes.
Yeah, some good.
And then when I come in and you
words.
yell Thunder Thursday.
Makes your ears ring, right?
It wakes me up.
Yeah, it wakes me
Anyway,
up.
it's good seeing you this
Who came up with Thunder Thursday? Was that George Post?
It might have
What
been.
you put out? Remember, you and Scott were putting out.
Yeah, it might have been Dan. It might have been Dan Gatiss. It might have been him. I'm not sure.
But is Dan have a great radio voice or what?
He does. Yeah, he's got a good voice for radio. He's on vacation now.
Good for him.
For Lock and Hard. I guess he's.
Yeah, he works hard there, man. He works
hard.
He does. He's great.
Yeah, he's a good waiter.
Somebody from out of town said, they went to Lock and Hard and said they had this really nice fella, taller guy, and really knew what he was doing, very professional. I said, was his name Dan? He says, yeah. Yeah, so
the help staff is great. Yeah. The restaurant is good. But anyway,
speaking about Italians, so I'm on this kick of watching Italian movies with subtitles. It's awesome. So
really?
You go on Netflix or
you can get those.
Yeah, all you got to do is plug in the search bar.
Italian shows.
There's some cool ones. I just watched, which was great, Cinema Paradiso. Oh my God, it was like made in '88. What a great movie! Highly recommend. Story about a cinema that was in this Italian town. I don't know where exactly it was in Italy, but and so this older guy was running it for a longer time, and then this young kid, couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old, took an interest in it. His mother let him go to a movie. Then he somehow snuck in the back where the film production was being done, and the older guy befriended him, and it showed the story of the young boy's life, and the old man wanted him to get out of the town because he says there's no future here. He says this is your future, but this is no future for you.
Right.
So, but one thing led to another, and the guy became the young boy, turned man, went into the service. It's a long movie, like 2.5-hour movie.
Apparently it is.
It is. No, but it was great. So at the end, he becomes a big time film producer in Rome. Goes to Rome, makes something out of him. But what I like about it is, any of those Italian movies, you see the words and you hear the Italian. And so Yeah, it was. So I watched 2 or 3 of them, which they're a little
The problem is with the subtitles because there are a lot of Asian.
Oh yeah,
on Netflix especially.
Yeah,
but the
right.
problem with the subtitles, as you're reading the subtitles, your attention is drawn away from the faces of the actors.
Yeah,
or
right.
actresses.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
it
you're
makes it a
watching-
little more difficult.
Yeah.
And then trying to, when it's converted to English.
Yeah.
You remember that Woody Allen movie? What was it called?
I don't know.
What's
Sleeper?
Up, Tiger Lily or
Oh
something?
yeah, something like that.
Oh.
Woody Allen, Lawrence saying,
It was
Woody Allen.
hysterical.
Yeah, that was it.
Where the
the
lips
mouth.
are going like this,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
you hear 3 words. That's great.
Right. Yeah, it's good.
So it's good seeing you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
good
for
seeing
waking
you.
me again this
Yeah,
morning.
That's okay. Good. I'm glad you're here. It's always good to have you in the studio and brightening the airwaves with some melodious tones of
You know something, Tony? That sounds like
Pure
the same
BS.
things that so many of the attorneys that appeared in front of me. Can I tell a quick story
Please
about that?
tell
You know
me.
the
I love
reputation.
it. I love it.
I
I
have
love it.
such a great and high respect for trial lawyers, criminal trials. It is so intense, so difficult. The weight of the community, the weight of the defendant, the victim, it's
Right.
on your shoulders. But don't come to court unless you're prepared. So
Right.
I got a reputation of
Right.
letting some attorneys know that they weren't prepared that day.
Right.
Joe O'Connor
Yeah.
is one of the finest lawyers in the
Right.
county. He truly is.
Yeah.
And I like Joe
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Joe rarely would appear in front of me.
Right.
But on one case he did. His opponent was Tom Mellinson, who was a special prosecutor.
Yeah.
It was a sexual offender registration hearing, which is significant, but as far as the complexity compared to other cases we do, not the most complex.
Right.
I was shocked. Both attorneys highly prepared.
Yeah.
Joe O'Connor,
Yeah. Boom,
both
boom,
of
boom.
boom.
Had it.
And unlike some other judges, I prepare myself.
Right.
So even though there are a lot of cases, I'm ready to ask the appropriate tough questions. And I did, but I thought it went really well. There was no badgering of the lawyers. They were
Right.
both prepared, but I asked difficult questions. After it was all over, I went back into chambers for a break, and I see my court attorney, John Prizzi. I said, that was one of the most refreshing. Both lawyers, highly prepared, intelligent. What a joy it was to be on the bench for this occasion, John. This is great. I hope the rest of the 10 years goes like this. I went across the street. John and I normally, we never take lunch. We'd
Right.
go grab a coffee, come back at Uptown Coffee where Jenna owns it. And I walked in, and Jenna looked at me and said, what did you do to Joe O'Connor? I go, what are you talking about? I said, what happened? She said he just walked in for a coffee, and he had his head down, and he looked somber, and that's not Joe.
Right.
So I asked him, Joe, what happened? And he shook his head and said, I hope I can say this.
Yeah, go.
I just got out of Judge Williams' court. I feel like I was sexually violated. And I guess I don't
Yeah.
realize how. I remember how intimidating Frank Vogt
Right.
was
When you were.
when I was appearing in front of him
Yeah.
for 14
Sure.
consecutive years, but I didn't realize how intimidating it could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And boy, did I seize on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
And Joe is a competitive guy. I mean,
Joe's-
he's.
Joe's a fun. We're blessed, honestly,
Yeah.
in this county, to have some of the finest lawyers, finest trial lawyers, finest criminal lawyers, and
Yeah.
I know they had a great deal of respect for me. They didn't exactly enjoy,
Yeah.
but they shouldn't. Anyway,
Interesting.
so that's one of the
No,
many
I-
stories.
Yeah.
That'll be chapter 4 in the book if I make it that long to
See,
write the book.
We
Tony.
should see if we can get Joe on maybe at some point as a little
I'll call
rebuttal.
Joe.
As a little
I'll
rebuttal.
call Joe. Joe is very. Well, politics doesn't matter anymore. I'm not running for anything.
Yeah,
I've had
right. You
enough.
can let it rip, man.
But-
That's one of the beauties of
But
it.
I wasn't able to say anything for 40 years.
Yeah.
Was not able to ethically, as an assistant DA, DA, or judge,
Right, you
especially as
couldn't
a
give an
judge.
opinion.
I stopped coming on this show. I used to come weekly.
Right.
But because you can't say very much. Anyway, yeah, I'll
Speaking
ask
about
Joe.
coming on the show, well, we have our district attorney David Clegg coming on at 8 o'clock, so that should
That's
be
right.
that should be
Dave.
really interesting.
Dave has been, and we haven't really been able to hook up.
Yeah.
But he's wanted to. I said, Dave, anytime, pick my brain.
Yeah,
I did it
yeah,
for
it's
20,
great.
30 years.
Yeah.
So now, since you guys have asked that I
Yeah.
asked
out a
Dave
little
to come
bit.
in,
No, it's
I
great. I
did.
think
Now,
it's a different-
Dave's a good guy, and this is district attorney is a
Yeah.
tough job. He is also. I worked for Dave for
Yeah.
about 9 or 10 months.
Private practice,
in
yeah.
between district attorney and judge.
Right.
Dave was kind enough to let me out of the informal agreement we had so I could run for county judge. But
he's
a fine lawyer,
great
tough
guy.
lawyer. But that's a tough job.
Yeah.
District attorney is a tough
No,
job.
it absolutely is. I mean, I know David from the YMCA board he served on, and he's kind of notorious basketball player.
He's one his trial lawyer state of mind appears on the basketball court.
Right, exactly.
We may discuss that with him today.
exactly.
As I understand it, he played basketball, I'm not sure how long it was, after he had his back fused.
Yeah.
Now, that's
Amazing.
crazy, especially for somebody at his advanced age.
He's right. But he's got a group of those folks that are.
I think he goes and plays like 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
Right around the same time that you make me come in this radio show.
I was thinking again today, if there's another snowstorm today, that you're going to have to trudge in.
But that-
That's a
I'm sure the
classic.
people that are listening have no
No
clue about this.
frame of reference
The
there.
first, I
Right.
agreed to come on to co-host. I mean, I love coming on as
Yeah.
a guest.
Right.
Co-hosting
A little
is much
different.
more difficult
Yeah.
than what I expected.
Yeah.
But I agreed to come on, and the very first Thursday, we had a blizzard. The blizzard this year.
And, it was.
Well, actually, it was it was the
it
beginning of
December?
this year.
Was it- or
It had to
beginning
be
of
I think the first.
I mean, we got like 15 inches of snow or
It
something.
was, I couldn't get my car out. I walked down from Mountain View Avenue. I said, there's no way anybody's going to be here.
Talk about commitment, man. Talk about dedication.
And then you left me.
And I left you.
You
Yeah, 'cause
disappeared
I-
to move your truck.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
my first time hosting. I think
Right.
Lawrence might have gone too.
The plow guy just said, "Hey, come down and move the truck." So I'm doing that, and then
When you
he
disappeared
took
and we thought you
forever.
went to the bar? Oh, yeah.
Disappeared.
I remember.
It took
Yeah.
forever. It took
I didn't-
forever to plow a little.
I thought Artie's had closed. But he was at the bar
Yeah,
at
that's a shame
Artie's.
about Eddie Burns.
Yeah, Eddie Burns,
Yeah.
one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
Good guy.
And that place was a classic back in its day.
Artie's 44?
We
Yeah.
won't go there, but we won't.
There are a lot. I will not go
yeah.
there because I love
Yeah.
Eddie and I love his wife. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there are some. And one of these days, I will tell you, remind me about the night that
Off the air.
Yeah,
Right.
out of respect to everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll
off
love
the
it. It's a great
Yeah.
Eddie story.
Yeah.
But I drew Eddie out of a hat to play a two-man
Golf.
best ball at Twofskill on a Friday night,
Right.
steak night.
Oh.
And that very morning, I had done something in my capacity as acting district attorney.
Okay.
When Mike Cavanaugh was away, it put me in a difficult position that day.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
Ed, what a gentleman.
Yeah, always was.
What a sense of humor.
Dennis
Great guy.
Pitcock was the chief financial officer at Kingston Hospital for the longest time, and I was there, and he would take me in there for lunch occasionally, and I was amazed. It was a let's say had a lot of color and flavor.
It was.
I'm not talking about the food. It was just.
It was a
interesting.
different, but every time I
Yeah.
walked in, even though my role
Yeah.
was one that
Right.
some of the individuals back in those days
Right.
that were there,
Right.
when I walked in, a few
They
heads
all-
would turn. I cleaned out a place once.
Yeah, I
Did you ever
believe
hear
it.
of the Cloud 9 bar?
It
was downtown.
Yeah.
And I went early afternoon. I went with Holly Carnwright. Holly Carnwright and I were assistant DAs, and we went down to interview somebody at the
Right.
bar about a serious case.
Another good potential guest, by the way. Holly Carnwright. Another good potential guest. Okay.
Yeah. No, he would be.
Okay.
He definitely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd like to get some of the assistants on.
Yeah.
If Dave couldn't make it today, there's
Yeah.
one assistant DA. His name is Paul Darrow Hanassian.
Beautiful.
And he would be in my court.
Okay.
It took me 6 months to learn how to pronounce his name. But what a nice young man, good lawyer,
a good idea.
always
It's a good idea.
smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
So the young assistants rarely get the attention
Yeah,
they
good.
deserve.
That's a
So
great
I-
idea. Cloud 9, back to Cloud 9.
Cloud 9, yeah, I walked in, the bar was packed
Right.
for at least 7 minutes. And then the bar was vacant. There was not a face to be seen in the Cloud
man,
9.
That's scary. That happened to me once. I was in a bar in Poughkeepsie by Dutchess Community College, shooting pool and having a beer. We're doing some summer courses. But that was a tax. That was a sales tax. They didn't pay their sales tax, this bar. So basically, the guy said, "Finish your beer, forget your game, get out of here. You're done. The place is closed." I mean, he just walked in, and there were maybe 10.
Oh, we didn't close the place.
Oh,
It's
they
just
just closed the place.
my face. There was a voluntary or involuntary reaction that suddenly everybody finished their
Right.
beer and left. And it took less than 10 minutes.
Were you by yourself?
You guys
or
don't
were-
want. I was with Holly.
Oh, you with Holly, right, right.
It was a place that, let me say, we stood out.
Yeah, yeah,
How we
right.
were dressed, and by then I had been an assistant DA for a while, so most of the people in the local bars would recognize the
Yeah,
face.
yeah. This was maybe in the 80s?
I started in '79, so it had to be about '83.
Yeah, I kind of remember. I started at
82,
Kingston Hospital in
83.
1980, so I do remember some of these bars. I mean, but Kingston had kind of a colorful history of those types of places.
Well, I was
I'd say.
born and raised, as you know, in the shadow of the courthouse.
Right.
There was a place called the Querbes 2. My dad,
boy.
who I know
boy.
I've explained to, my dad was a precursor Navy frogman in World War II.
Yeah.
Tough guy, but a fun guy.
Yeah.
Oh, really,
Right.
really witty.
Taskmaster.
Oh,
Yeah.
And we were on a dart team together, father and son,
Oh,
with some
nice.
other people at the Querbes 2. Yeah, but that also, I was a young assistant,
Yeah.
and then we would travel for away games at the various pubs in
Oh, this is
in the
dart
city
game,
of
that is-
Kingston. Dart League.
Dart League. Yeah.
And I have to tell you, it was interesting, the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Had a lot of, interesting
My
places.
father would
interesting
call me Donnie,
Right.
which I loved it when he called me. I
Right.
despise it today.
Right.
I was called many other things, and it wasn't because my dark game ability stood out, Tony.
Yeah. So it's great to go back and look at that, and you look at it today, and it's like sanitized. I mean, the world is sanitized.
Yeah, I love the fact that we have had individuals that have come up from the city
Yeah.
that really have brought a great deal of good, Tony.
Right.
But come on,
Yeah.
let us keep some of the character
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we had. I mean, again, I was born and raised here. Never wanted to leave here. Having some second thoughts now.
Yeah.
But never wanted to leave here. I just wish that we could assimilate
Yeah.
everything
I agree.
that's good
Instead of
and taking over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And,
making it-
however, I'm sure that's what's heard in every small community that gets affected.
Yeah,
by it.
but this community for a long time, and maybe some say that that's not good. Had a tradition and a history and
Well, tradition and history is good as long as the people that are living in that tradition and history are willing to make change.
Yeah.
And change is good,
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
but it should be evolution, not revolution.
Yeah.
And this is just very fast how this community has
flipped.
changed.
Would you
Flipped
say,
is a good way to say it, changed dramatically.
yeah, 10 years, last
Well,
10
it
years?
started with IBM leaving, but
Right.
it really,
Accelerated.
September 11th.
Yeah.
At the time, September 11th, a number of people were coming up, and then a couple of the main investors that are coming out of Brooklyn
Yeah.
that started buying up some of the uptown property,
right.
especially.
I'm going to say like maybe 2008 and 9, the last recession, the last pandemic, the H1N1 pandemic that happened. After that, starting 2010, I think the change accelerated a little bit more for whatever reason, because the properties were, valued, devalued, if you will.
They
Those
were.
investors came up, boom, started buying, changing the landscape. The
And that was
politics-
good.
right.
That was good because I can remember so many boarded up stores
Yeah.
on uptown Kingston.
Well, that's true.
But
Yeah, that's true.
But
I think we
you-
got a caller. Oh, great. Dr. Paul, good morning. How are you?
Okay, good morning. A bit snowy, but I wanted, this past month we lost two giants in talk radio hosts.
Yes.
Rush Limbaugh and Jody McTague. Jody was a tough but warm hostess, and she served not only to our listening audiences, but to many people. She was an angel that she helped out those in need.
I didn't know Jody passed, Doctor. Jody McTague was one of my
within the last.
She worked at GHQ
people.
for years before she went to KNY.
She used to have me on. I forgot. Was it with Donnie Ryan? Who did work?
Unfortunately, she was with Donnie
I'd like
Ryan,
to give a shout out to the Vaccine Center in Kingston.
Yes,
Hospital.
please do.
I was called yesterday afternoon, early in the afternoon, told that there was a space for a vaccine if I got there by the end of the afternoon.
Right.
As I drove in, I walked in, knocked at the door. There was this giant of a friendly man that just, in uniform, that just greeted me and brought me into this giant room. In the room, there was many, many senior citizens, some with caregivers and helping them in the wheelchair. You had the most friendly people assisting you throughout every process. You had different stations where you had different things you had to have done. They just escorted you down. It was a quiet, friendly environment. They just brought you into all the things you had to have done. Everything was so efficiently and effectively, organized. But most importantly, you felt that you were walking into someone's living room and treated as a family member. I mean, it was one of the nicest experiences I've ever had in any kind of hospital setting.
Medical setting, wow. How long did the whole process take?
It took me maybe a half an hour.
Okay. Wow, that's great.
It was just outstanding. So I give, the organizers, but mostly the people there.
Yeah.
I mean, they made us feel so, so comfortable and warm and ready to come back, in the next month.
Shot number 2. Any side effects for you or everything okay?
I got a little, get a little pain in the arm later on in the day, but other than that, nothing, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little, something like the annual flu shot. Some people have a little reaction to that, but some people say the second shot a little bit different, a little bit more possibly, and then some people say no big deal. So I think everybody's different. And good. I'm glad. Thank you for that story. That's amazing. And Rush Limbaugh, you mentioned. I must have missed his passing, although I was watching some news show last night, and they were doing a big tribute. But he had battled cancer for the longest time, I think.
It was a significant period.
So but he was definitely made a big impact on.
Fox
the political scene,
and Fox spent a great deal of time. I turned CNN on, and for some reason I didn't hear any mention on CNN. But Fox spent a great deal of time.
Right. So, Paul, thank you for calling, Dr. Paul. Everything else good in your world?
Yep, it's fine. The snow is a little, starting in today, and I guess we're going to get it for the next couple of days. So just hunker in there and be safe when you're driving.
Yep. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you for supporting KCR. We appreciate everything you do.
Take care, Doctor.
All the best. So I talk about, there's coronavirus fatigue and malaise, and people are just, are enough already. Now it's the snow. Now it's I can't get a vaccine.
I can't seem to get an appointment.
I know.
I mean, I'm 67.
My mom hasn't gotten one either. She's been trying to get one. She's 75.
Yeah.
She gets on every day, sometimes two times a day, the CVS, the Walgreens website, the county website.
Now, I think it's just Walgreens that...
CVS is doing them. Nancy Rising got one at CVS on Sunday.
There's another one coming out that apparently is just one shot. Do you know anything about that?
Johnson. Will
that be through CVS? Or?
I'm not sure about the distribution channels yet. Probably. I mean, that seems to be...
We're only in line for Moderna because we can't get the Pfizer one because there was no storage in Ulster County. It's got to be stored at minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, wait a second. No one put into place the storage that would be needed for the vaccine.
How hard
in
is that?
Ulster County?
It's a freaking tractor trailer, isn't it?
Who made that decision not to do that?
Yeah, it's
good question.
Sure. Who's responsible for
Maybe we should
putting out a
get the
distribution?
county executive on next week and ask him that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure, how we get what, by the way. I don't know. The state is in control of distributing. So maybe you can choose, Moderna or Pfizer.
Well, I'm sure if you,
when it comes.
I'm sure that in some fashion, and so
right.
I'm not a fan of Donald Trump as an individual.
Right.
But I'm sure that whatever the reason was, it was Trump's fault. I'm sure.
Well, every president blames the last president, don't they? I mean, that's just
that is something.
That's pretty standard.
Until President Trump took office,
right.
Except for Jimmy Carter, it was routine for the presidents to show some deference.
Yeah.
The new president to show some deference
to
for
the last one. Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy Carter did not.
Yeah.
From the beginning. But other than that, they really did show deference.
That was after Ford? Was he after Ford, right? Wasn't he after Ford?
Oh, it's hard to remember. What I do know is when he was in office, you could only fill your gas tank
every other day.
If you're licensed, I told that to my son recently. He looked at me like I was out of my mind.
Right.
If your license had an even number, you could fill your gas tank on even days. If it was an odd number days.
Yeah.
We tend to forget.
We do. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Tend to forget.
And I can't remember what the price. I remember in high school the price was like 35 cents a gallon when I was in high school. I do
remember that when I was, this is Tony.
I'm sorry.
Look, I look this age. You do not, but I remember a loaf of bread was 28 cents. People are saying, get these old timers off the radio, for God's sakes. 28 cents for a loaf of bread, and I think gas was about 28 to 32 cents, and we used to complain about that.
Yeah, it's and look, we're going through some very difficult times in this country. There's no doubt about that. But, and I maybe have said this on this show before, and so forgive me if I'm repeating, but the 60s was a very turbulent decade for this country, super turbulent, and there was civil riots, there was, killings, protests, Vietnam War, assassinations galore. I mean, hey, who are we killing today?
You're right.
I mean,
the 60s,
that decade.
It was the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of, it was a springboard decade. The 70s was whatever the 70s was, and so you look back and say, okay, yeah, this is a turbulent time we're in, but there's been turbulent times before in this country.
It always seems, and we suffer from, what is it called, recent memory? What is that term?
Yeah,
we always think it is the worst in the era that we're living, we're in at the time. But, the 60s are tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or we always yearn for the good old days.
I'm going to remind you this time.
Yeah, birthdays.
I don't know when we do that.
Yeah, it's.
You yelled at me after. You yelled me after the last session when I didn't remind you. I felt it was. I think you were screaming. Much of it was subtitled like those Italian movies.
My Italian deal. Yeah. So we have some birthdays today. That's pretty cool, man.
You're going to let us know? Oh, we do that later?
We do that a little bit after 8, right before we start with our DA, and we can talk quickly about, what do we have, Lawrence, a minute-ish? Ulster, here, you want to read something about Farm Hub, Judge?
I don't have my glasses, so that would be real difficult.
Are these?
Let's see, I can see this.
Real glasses or fake glasses?
I bought real glasses, and they work just about the same as the
150s?
I don't know. I think
they're magnifiers.
All right. This is a reminder. Join us for a virtual lecture with Dr. Jessica Harris, followed by a Q&A. Links in the chain. Some connections between African and African American foodways. That's Thursday, February 18th this year at 7 p.m. What is today?
Today's the 18th.
It's today.
It is today.
This is today.
It's today.
So this event will be occurring at 7 o'clock. Full details and registration below. Go to farmhub.com. Farmhub.com, and you'll get more information. 7 o'clock tonight.
All right. So that's good. We're going to go to break. When we come back, Kevin Gilfeather from, he used to be the Parks and Rec director.
Kingston Lions Foundation.
Now Kingston Lions Foundation. Kevin will be calling in, and we'll talk to him and talk about some other stuff. Take it away, Lawrence.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
100 years ago, there were 100,000 tigers in the wild. Today, there are as few as 3,200. The Earth's wild animals can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
Hi, I'm Ruth Quick from town of Ulster. I support Kingston Community Radio, and you should too.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
He's trying to ask. All right, we're back on. This is Thunder Thursday, folks. This is Tony Marmo.
Could you do the Roaring Thunder?
I could do the Thunder Thursday.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad I asked you to do that. I actually do that quite well.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Next to Dan, you've got a good radio.
No, you have. I was thinking about that when you were just reading that little Farm Hub ad.
Yeah, you don't want me to repeat.
Right.
You don't want me to repeat the last thing that you said to me when you didn't show up and I hosted myself.
Oh, yeah.
No, I will not repeat it publicly, Tony. It did start to get me a little concerned about some things concerning your background, but but it was complimentary, I guess, depending upon one's perspective. So
sometimes there's a little flight of thought that I
It's George Post. He's got a quick question.
Okay, George Post. Good morning, George. How's Port Ewan doing today?
Not too bad, and you
Good.
guys?
We're doing fantastic. I have the judge with me, and it's always a good day on Thunder Thursday when we have Judge Williams with us.
Yeah, Judge, you was you're a fine gentleman. You did a great job, and we appreciate the service that you gave to the county.
Thank you, Mr. Post. That's really it's nice to hear. Thank you.
What's
I'm
happening?
calling to warn everybody. There's a new scam out there where they send you an email from Amazon wanting you to confirm that you ordered something.
Right.
They give you an 800 number to call back if you didn't order it, and then they get into your finagle array to get you to let them get into your computer and everything else.
Aye.
And I was on the phone yesterday, an hour and a half with the guy until I called Roundout Savings Bank. Talked to a gentleman there. I thank God for that gentleman right there. Roundout, good thing we can deal with a local hometown bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the real benefits.
The scam is the email.
The scam is the email, so that starts the process.
The scam is the email. So we called up both credit card companies, the stuff that we had, canceled our credit cards, and found out that they was going into putting in charges on the credit card.
I
Right
think-
as we was talking.
You know, Mr. Post, the general rule that people from, we had, when I was DA, Consumer Affairs was part of our department. The general rule is if you get an email and you do not know the sender, do not open it up. Don't open it up.
Right.
Because
But
just
it's
the opening.
disguised as Amazon, George, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it came in as Amazon.
Yeah.
And because my wife does have stuff sent from Amazon at times. So
Right.
Right. Like just about every other household in the planet.
And after hearing that guy, we immediately cut that guy off, hung up on him and stuff, and then we turned around and called the 2 credit card companies that we had.
Yeah.
And immediately canceled out everything that he did for that day. But that's a new scam out there that I just want everybody to be aware of.
And we all fall victim of that.
Absolutely.
All
The
of us.
guy asked for your credit card information, George?
He asked for all kinds of information. We was on a good hour and a half with him because he said, I need to get this to go in there to cancel out these things here, to cancel out this charge, make sure that there was nothing going on with this thing. Man, we checked Target, Best Buy, and a couple other things.
Yeah,
and then
that's
it
terrible.
started looking a little fish when I saw a charge go up there, but I didn't see the zeroing out come up next. I said, And then I called the guy at the bank to talk to them about it, to check on my regular account. And that's when he said, no, that is the scam.
Yeah, thank you
The
for
email
bringing
is
this
scam.
up. It's
I wish we could catch these people and we could lock them up and throw away the key so they never get out again.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Post. And the problem is for local prosecutors to bring a prosecution. The expense is amazing because you have to be flying in these individuals from all over the country.
all over the place. Yeah, where are they? Yeah,
I
it's terrible.
would fly them in without a parachute and drop them.
Yeah, it's horrible what they do, and I think because people are much more homebound these days because of the pandemic, I think that business is I won't call it a business, but that's
it's booming.
Yeah, exactly. There's more of those jerks around. If I get one and I are on the phone for whatever reason, I try to torture them in any way that I can. I just because I feel
I thought only I did that.
I do. I torture.
You have to keep them on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
For a while. Don't tell them anything that's significant.
Right.
But just talk to them about various things.
Yeah,
because they hate that.
Yeah,
The reason I was so concerned was the charges were around $2,700.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's
so
a lot.
it's some kind of TV and a couple other electronics.
Wow.
I said, whoa, wait a minute, I never ordered nothing like that.
And normally what they do is they'll do a couple of charges for like $3 or $4
right.
to see if it goes
Test the
through,
waters.
and then they hit you.
Yeah.
Right now, this guy came in with about $2,600 worth of.
Well, I'm sorry that you went through that, Mr. Post, and hopefully somebody will do something to locate the people that are doing it.
And emails are, we get them at work, and it's, as much as we try to prevent that kind of stuff, you see them, and usually this is a famous one because it happened to me, actually, when I was president of the Italian-American organization. The board members, they must have picked up information off the website, off the Ulster County Italian-American website, because I think we have emails on there. So they use those emails, but then so it'll be, I'll use Les Lombardi because he's the president, from Les Lombardi, but then some other email that if you keep reading along the top line, you can see the real email, but it's from Les Lombardi and said, I need some help. Can you call me right now, or something stupid like that?
Yeah.
And
right. Yep. And
it's
a
like
phone number, and you just see the phone number that's on the email, and boom.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, luckily we have a guy who's a computer expert. He's taking my computer today without me turning it on, and going ahead and go to look into it, make sure that they didn't implant anything into the computer, because they have this
that's the other
share
problem.
program that they use to get into the computer.
Right.
I just hope none of my Legion data or nothing else got corrupted.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're growing up as a young child, sometimes your parents will ask you, well, Don, or George, Tony, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I'd like to be a policeman, or I'd like to be a nurse, or I'd like to be a this or that. Dad, I'd like to be a scammer. A scammer. Can you teach me how to be a scammer, Daddy?
Tragically, that happens far more frequently than you might imagine.
What's that, George?
I grew up wanting to be a Marine.
Yeah, well, there you go. God bless.
And I did that, then I ended up as a postal worker.
Yeah, well, those are
two very difficult positions.
Yeah, and admirable professions, as opposed to some families saying, well, let me teach you how to screw people out of their money, son.
I worked a lot of overtime. I never put it in my budget, but I used it to help put my kids through college and also pay off my mortgage so I could retire when I was still reasonably young. I got out when I was 56. That was back in 09. So
yeah,
because I seen so many people stay the extra year or two for the extra 1 or 2%, and then pass away within about a year or two after they retired. I said, no, I want to get away when I had my health.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's
so
a good
we
thing.
scrimped and saved and paid off everything, and we was able to do it. So
God bless. That's great. That's the way to do it.
That's back in the days when you worked and everything else for what you got.
Yeah. No, things have changed
and
in the
you
planet.
used common sense back then.
Yeah. It's a different world, George. We were just talking about that earlier, and some for better maybe, and some for worse.
Right. Yeah. I remember. I heard you talking about the '60s and everything else.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up during that era.
Yeah.
And,
it was turbulent.
High
it was
school
turbulent.
Stuff like that. So, but nowadays, when the phone rings, if I don't recognize the number, I don't pick it up. I say, let the machine get it.
Yeah, the problem now, Mr. Post, is what the latest part of the scam is. Somehow, when they call, they now, on my caller ID on my landline, they're getting numbers of local people. I got a call one time from a 338 number, and it said Tom Fiore.
Yeah.
I know Tom Fiore. So you answer it.
Right.
I don't know how they're doing that, but it's clever.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. It's very clever, and it's a shame that they got to make their money like that and hurt so many other different people.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't particularly care.
That scam coming out and stuff, and hey, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, especially with electronics now too.
Right. No, absolutely. I blame Al Gore, who invented the World Wide Web. As soon as that happened, as soon as the computer world really started getting, big and crazy, I think the world changed like unbelievably.
It does give you access to so many things we don't have access to. However, having said that, the dangers.
It's super
good
dangerous.
and bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with the kids.
Yeah, and the bad folks use it to their advantage, and that's why great people like Don Williams are around to put those folks away for a while doing bad things.
But no longer, and I did, Tony.
You did, and that's what we needed.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I've been up here since around '82, and I've been following the local politics and everything else, and I know Judge Williams and everything else, and some of the other different people that we had, and the different sheriffs and stuff, and that's why I back our legal people all the way, and I back our police departments all the way. Sure, you got the bad apples, but 99.9% of the other ones are fantastic people.
Right, exactly.
And they need to be commended on a tough job that they have to do and stuff.
Right. What never ceases to amaze me, though, is how criminals think that they can get away with stuff long term. The
problem, Tony, it's obviously a very complex issue.
Yeah.
I can tell you that when I was on the bench, people really were not thinking that.
Yeah.
From what the police would tell me when they interviewed, especially the gang members, they did. If you heard some of the nicknames they had for me, it was amazing. The problem, and again, it's a complex issue.
It's a family show.
Yeah, but
we can't go
the
down.
problem was, first, what can we do? People have to be locked up.
Right.
Repeat offenders, violent people, put them away, give them a fair trial, and put them away.
Yeah.
But when they're away, they're going to get out. Especially in New York State.
Yeah, they're going to get out.
We've got to do something to teach them some vocation while they're there, not license plates. But then when they're out, the biggest problem is, where do they go? And if they go back to the same environment, they're going to reoffend. It happens over and over. We did have some things, believe it or not, in this very conservative county, such as Save Us Now, which was a program designed, and we can get into it some detail.
Judge Feeney did
That was drug court. Before the state of New York made it official, we had something called Community Corrections Program that Ted Feeney, myself as DA, and a person by the name of Ed Brown, who was a local, put together. That was treatment initially in a confined environment next to the jail, a dormitory type situation, and they received intense treatment, and then drug court expanded to helping get these people jobs. The problem is, if you're an employer and you have two people that are equally qualified for a job, and one has a history of drug dependence and one does not, who do you hire?
Yeah, the one that does not, typically.
Well, in most cases. So it's very difficult for an individual that has been exposed to the criminal justice system and has been labeled to get a job. But that is, to me, that's the biggest.
And I'll tell you, and I am very open-minded about that, when we try to place people. But we have difficulty finding employers that are willing to take second chance. So what we call second chance.
It's much better now. That's part of it. Is getting better,
but I can
still
count them on one hand. Don.
And then what do you explain to the people that didn't commit crimes that can't get a job when they're equally qualified? It's far more complex.
Absolutely.
There is no simple solution to this, but everybody. The key is you cannot be afraid to lock people up. That's got to be the start.
Exactly.
I think I've told you the story with, I'm out, I go to grocery stores, and I have people recognize my voice, even with a mask. And they say, Judge Williams, I want to thank you. And I'm going, boy. Thank me for what? For locking me up for 2 months because they dried up, and after they got off of the drug, they said they sat in their cell finally sober for the first time, saying, where am I going with my life? And then those people, when they got out, they ended up getting jobs. One young lady at a local grocery store said she's now a drug counselor herself. It's good. It's good, but it's far more complex.
George, thank you for calling in and bringing that subject up, because we need examples like that and people speaking about it to make sure that seniors and others don't fall for this stuff, and don't click on emails that you don't recognize, and
and be extra careful no matter whatever you do now.
Right.
And one quick thing too: instead of pushing college, they ought to push trade schools, because we need people in the trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And it's well-paying now.
For being there. You guys have a great day.
Thanks.
Stay
You too. Be safe.
Stay healthy.
Yep.
And we'll be in touch.
You too,
Careful
Mr.
out on the
Post.
roads. Thank
nice
you,
talking
George.
to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice.
Have a great day. Yeah, so it's...
Mr. Post say he was on the Marines? In the Marines?
Yes.
So, we're in luck. You would have been 0 for 4, but your guest actually called in. Kevin's on the line. Last week, none of Tony's guests called in.
I know,
They just
I don't know
happened to
what's
disappear.
going on. I don't know. It must be me. I don't know.
Kevin just got back from vacation. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, and I apologize, Tony, for my 15 minutes delayed. Phone
No worries.
call in.
You can apologize to the judge. He's about to sentence you.
Kevin, definitely not the Kevin. I have great respect and admiration for Kevin, especially when he was running the rec department.
Yes.
What a great job. Kevin, you're a good person. You did a great job. I haven't had much contact with you lately. Are you still friends with Dwayne Postyapak? Because I think that may be the only error that you've made in your life. Nina, his wife, is magnificent. Dwayne, however...
Yeah, we've been good friends with Nina and Dwayne for a long, long time.
Well, the next time you see Dwayne, ask him. Ask him if he remembers being beaten in sudden death on the 19th hole at Twaffskill by an individual that hardly played golf, but happened to hit a second shot into a par 4 and sink it for eagle, defeating the Hertigan champ.
Oh my God!
Yeah, poor Dwayne.
Oh, that's funny.
Poor Dwayne.
That's
He's
a great
heard about
story.
that. Oh, it's absolutely true.
Was it being sunk into the right hole that you were?
Well, it's funny, Kevin, you say that because I did put it in the hole that was designated. However, the drive came from a wayward shot into a different fairway. So the second shot was from the parallel fairway heading in the opposite direction. If you're familiar with Twofskill, Kevin, I'm sure you are, my drive off of 19, which was 1, was in front of the third green.
Oh, jeez.
I had to hit it back over a tree to a pin I couldn't see on the first green. It took 2 hops and went in. I didn't see it, but I did hear the roar of the crowd.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite movies, golf movies, is Bagger Vance, and that seems like a shot that Will Smith would hit.
I didn't see Bagger Vance.
You got to
I'll
see
have to
Bagger
watch it.
Vance. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You know, it's
Caddyshack is.
Caddyshack is it? Yeah, but no, this is like Will Smith is this mystical character, and I don't know, one of those Ben Affleck or the other guy I can't remember, was always in movies with him. He's in there, and
Right.
Charlize Theron is in it. It's a good movie, and those are kind of shots that would come out of that movie.
You know, I'm getting a theme here, Tony, that you're watching entirely too many movies. Kevin, join in, especially if you wish to bust Tony's chops.
Yeah, you were talking about reading books. I have 2 or 3 really good books that I want to read. I can't get to them. I'm into Italian movies right now. Kevin, what's going on? You just came back from Florida.
We did. We were down there. We had a great time down there, and of course, coming back to some weather that was different than what we experienced. But
Whereabouts in Florida, Kevin?
what's that?
Whereabouts in Florida do you go?
Sarasota.
Oh, beautiful. The airport in Sarasota is like a resort by itself. It's beautiful.
I know it. We wish we could get a flight from either
Stewart
Pittsburgh or Albany right into, but we actually fly into Punta Gorda.
Yeah, Punta Gorda.
Just
Yeah,
because it's not too far from Sarasota, but we're able to get a good deal. And
you know who used to go there, and rest his soul, you'll know this name, and many of the listeners will know, is Tony Triolzi, who used to run Kingston Hospital.
I remember.
Tony had a place down in Punta Gorda, and would talk about it frequently.
Is that north, south of Sarasota?
I don't know. Where is it,
south
Kev?
of Sarasota.
South. Yeah.
That's a beautiful area.
It's a 55-minute ride, but it's it's not too far out of the way. It's an easy way to get drive to get from Sarasota to Punta Gorda. So that's where we've been flying into.
So what's the climate like in terms of the virus down there? What's down in Sarasota?
Most of the people that we saw were very, they were good about making sure that there was wearing face masks and social distancing. And,
okay.
And, the great thing about Sarasota is that it's like a 8-minute drive over to Siesta Key Beach.
Oh, that's a beautiful area.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
The sand is beautiful, and it was much less crowded this time than we've experienced, obviously, in the past. And I think that maybe because people weren't traveling or they were staying away from crowds as we were. And if anybody knows Siesta Key Beach, they know that it's vast, massive, so you can have your own space but still see people at the same time. So
Airport's crowded, Kev? Airplanes crowded?
No.
No.
I mean, the airport was not crowded, and we had our own row, especially coming back in front and back of us and to the side of us. So,
Did you fly out of Newark, Kevin, or where'd you fly out of?
We flew out of Albany.
Oh, really? It wasn't a direct flight, though, was it?
It was a direct flight on Allegiant to Punta Gorda. So,
Oh, okay. How far away is Punta Gorda from Sarasota?
About an hour, said, right? An hour south?
yeah, just under an hour. An hour.
Yeah.
Well, still, a direct flight is nice
That's
out of
pretty
Albany.
good. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't
It
get
was
those
great.
direct. Do you fly direct, Lawrence, when you go to Florida?
No, I go to Fort Lauderdale, so I have to go through either Baltimore, BWI, or Chicago. But they do. Albany does fly direct to Orlando. MCO is the name of their.
Orlando's a big airport.
Stewart used to fly.
Stewart goes
to
JetBlue,
Sanford,
but I don't
right?
fly JetBlue anymore because I've never been on a JetBlue flight that hasn't been delayed or we sat on the tarmac for 4 hours.
Right.
Wow.
Just the flights are super cheap on JetBlue,
Yeah.
but you pay for what you get.
Right.
So I like Southwest.
Well,
They're nothing.
Yeah,
all the planes are
just like
clean.
Allegiant,
I feel more safe.
Surf and turf on the way down.
Yeah, I feel more safe flying with Southwest than I do with anyone
Kevin,
else.
did you say you had surf and turf on the way down?
No, we didn't get that with.
Oh.
Allegiant is a very.
It's like peanut. It's like tuna fish and bologna.
I used to promise the jurors that we would be providing them lunch when they deliberated, but I always reminded them it's on the state, so don't expect surf and turf.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin, weren't you a juror in one of the cases I presided over?
Were you a juror?
Were you a juror in one of the cases, or a prospective juror?
I could have been.
Anyway, more importantly, what's going on with the Lions?
Yeah.
Well, we've got. We're going to have a radiothon coming up here with KCR that we're going to be a supporter of, and
March 31st, right?
March 31st, yeah.
Right. We're going to try to raise some money for KCR and keep us on the air.
Actually, we have a foundation meeting, Kevin, on the 8th, right? Or not the 8th.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Yes,
we're
the
going to
8th of March.
A couple of things. We have a couple of projects that we're going to look to talk about and hopefully support. For KCR and also for our my former friends of the Forsyth Nature Center that the Forsyth Park that we were looking to support. So
great.
We look forward to doing that on March 8th, and I promise at that time I will be 15 minutes late in calling in.
No worries.
I'll actually be there. But we'll.
No worries. Yeah,
the Forsyth Nature Center is looking to do some projects, and they'll be looking for the Lions Club Foundation to reach out and be supportive of that. So we look forward to doing that.
Yeah, I mean, spring's about a month away. I think that's what I'm predicting.
We had a taste of spring a few days ago.
Oh yeah, it was like it was almost 50.
That disappeared quickly.
Well, according to Puxatawney Phil, we've still got 5 weeks of spring left, right? Or 5 weeks of winter
middle
left.
of March. Pitchers and catchers started.
Is that the animal that bit de Blasio?
That's the woodchuck. He's not a groundhog. He's a woodchuck.
No, that's what do they call him?
Puxatawney
Staten Island Chuck.
One of the more intelligent.
No, there's another one.
There's another one.
Yeah,
I thought Pennsylvania was.
No. It's Staten Island now. It's Staten Island Chuck. Yeah, no,
that's the one that bit de Blasio.
Yeah, and that one is calling for the Staten Island one said early spring. The one in Pennsylvania.
It's like politics. They're both
war.
Okay.
Yeah,
one's Republican, one's Democrat.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin, you're quarantining, and then you're going to bust out and have a big party or something. No.
Kevin, you shouldn't have had the quarantine, right? Because when I came back from Florida last month,
you have to get a test, right?
I got a test before I left in the Boca Raton Town Center Mall. Drove in, got the rapid results. I was eating breakfast at IHOP when they texted me and said, "You're all good." Got on the plane the next day, flew into New York, held up my New York travel advisory. You have to fill out this paperwork. As long as you get the green check mark, you walk right through the thing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then they texted me a few days later asking me if I had any symptoms, which I didn't. And that's it. It's over.
Wow, I thought you had to be quarantined for at least 10 days.
No, I thought they changed those rules.
Yeah, you do. You're supposed to quarantine. If you come home with a negative test, then you're supposed to stay in your house.
Right.
If you come home with a
positive.
I mean,
sorry,
vice
the other
versa,
way
you know
around.
what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you come home with positive, you got to stay in the house. If it's
I thought I was like, God, if I do come back positive, I was like, are they going to let me leave? I thought I was going to have to stay in Florida, which probably wouldn't have been too bad.
Well, it depends. I don't know who would do this show, Lawrence.
I guess Tony would have to fill in.
Oh, yeah, I'd have to fill in.
With all his guests that don't show up.
I'm praying.
Thank you for calling in to save my reputation. I appreciate it. All right, listen, all the best to you, and thank you for all the things that the Lions Club does in support of KCR and other important organizations in the community. So we appreciate all you do, and stay well, be well, and we'll hopefully see you in the studio next time.
Let's hope that's the case, and
right.
We'll look forward to doing that.
Thanks.
All right, Kevin.
Thanks so much.
Warm regards to you and your family.
Take care. All right, Lawrence, let's go to break.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from. All that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
All right, folks, we're back on. This is Thunder Thursday. Here we go.
David.
This is Tony Marmo.
And this is Donald Williams.
He's not admitting to that. He's in the witness protection program today.
We have a special guest today. Oh, I have to do this first?
You got to go to work here.
Dave, you're an important person, but it's going to wait for the birthday and the Thunder Thursday roar. But,
right.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, so I'm going to do, let's see, I'm thinking we're going to maybe have our district attorney read one of these, just so he gets into the act.
You ought to do this one.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is somebody that I recognize.
Okay, then you can do that one. So I can start with a happy birthday to one of our KCR, no, okay, go ahead. Okay, got it. All right, you want?
I don't have glasses.
Just go ahead.
You wanted to go first.
Yeah. So I'll do a happy birthday to Tyson McCaslin. Love family and friends. Olivia says happy birthday and I love you. Isn't that great?
That's
There you go.
fantastic.
You want glasses?
No, this one I can make out. It's much easier. This says, happy birthday to Cameron Rylance, and you wish to comment on Cameron.
Well, because Cameron is one of our KCR co-hosts, along with the aforementioned Nina Posterpak.
Would you explain to me what aforementioned
Yes, I was
means?
impressed with that. Yes.
You know, I mean,
Yes.
we've been engaged in the law practice for how many years? And then
We
you
don't
see
use those words.
My
yeah.
guest,
Never.
my guest
Is that one word? Is it 3 words?
Well, it's is a word, for is a word, and mention, and ed is a word.
So that means, does that mean we spoke of this person before?
I think so.
Okay.
So Cameron Rylance is a co-host on KCR on Tuesdays. It's Terrific Tuesday.
It is.
He's a great guy and a great Giant fan, and his dad, Dave Rylance, and mom, Elaine, was a nurse at Kingston Hospital and knew her for years. And Cameron's a great guy, and we're happy to have him as part of the
Absolutely.
Of the KCR
Happy birthday,
family.
Cam.
So
happy birthday.
All right.
D.A. Clegg, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. Happy 89th birthday.
Wow.
To Charlie Karsten. And from his friends and family, wife Helen, children Karen, Steve, Tim, Kathy, and Phil, and grandkids, 12 of them, and 12
Holy
great-grandkids.
what? Prolific.
Charlie
Can I use
Karsten.
prolific?
Yes, you can, as long as you define it for Dave and I later. Charlie Karsten was very active, if I recall, when I was an assistant DA and DA with the arson task force, which I don't know if it even exists anymore since I've been out of. But a great man. I think the New Paltz area, his wife Helen, great lady. So Charlie, 89, God bless you.
Okay,
Happy birthday.
And did he play basketball with you at 89? Who knows? It's possible. Possible, Dave. All right, and the winner of the delicious cow pie from Boyce Dairy Milk House at 62 O'Neill Street in Kingston is... Guess who it is? It's Charlie Karsten.
Charlie.
Oh, really?
Yes,
And-
All right.
Charlie, congratulations. Richly
89?
deserved.
Wow.
And great guy. Great guy.
Okay. So that
If
was...
it had been Cameron Rylance,
that would have been...
DA
He's not
Clegg
quite
might have
89 yet,
initiated
so
an
quite 89.
investigation.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's eligible, really, but
Yeah.
we put his name out there, so...
Can I just say something quickly, and then
Please,
you
we're
can
good to
take
go.
over?
No,
I want to.
No,
I want to
please,
thank
let's get
Dave
to our guest.
Immensely for coming on. I know what it's like to be the DA. I just told you, I think, off air. If you compare judge and district attorney, the sentencing is really hard for a judge because you're the last person that can be locking somebody up, sometimes for the rest of their lives. But being the district attorney, managing a staff of lawyers who are all very professional, but to be a trial lawyer, you have to have a certain confidence, sometimes arrogance. You have to train young lawyers. You have to try cases, and then you have to handle them firmly, but also you've got to be their father or mother, big brother or big sister. Every time an assistant DA, what do you have, like 30 probably? Part-time and full-time,
Wow,
25?
that's a lot.
And how many of those are full-time, Dave?
17.
17. Yeah, when I was there, I think
Staff.
we had a smaller full-time staff, but we had 11 or 12 part-timers. But regardless, I mean, you have to take responsibility for everything they do. It's one thing taking responsibility for the errors that we all make ourselves, to take responsibility for an assistant that may do something. But all in all, the assistants, they appeared in front of me before. Unfortunately, I wish I were still on the bench when you became DA. I really do. But
Did you ever, David, did you ever appear before Judge Williams as a...
I did,
in
but
private
only
practice?
Only once.
we had
only one case.
a very major case. I think I was chief assistant.
Well, we did try a case together.
Oh, interesting.
He is Dave is an excellent trial lawyer. To walk into, you didn't do back then, in the time I was there, a lot of the felony trials. I know you were a public defender and you did cases there, but he came in. To walk into a felony court, if you're not there regularly and try a case, he came in on a major arson. I will not go into the details out of deference to you. the people involved that I knew also, and I was prosecuting them.
Oh, wow.
One of the individuals sat next to me, not the defendant, but the defendant's brother, sat next to me in homeroom in high school. I cross-examined him. Right. You remember you made?
I do.
That was the most uncomfortable thing, but you have to do it. And anyway, excellent trial lawyer. That was a battle, but we battled, but when we left the courtroom, still liked each other. In court was a battle.
It was a great battle, and that's why I hired the guy later on.
Smart guy.
I did mention it, and I don't know if you were listening this morning. I thanked you in between the time when I finally left the DA's office after my second term as DA and wanted to go into private practice to become eminently wealthy. I had enough of the politics, honestly.
Yeah.
Dave was good enough to hire me and teach me about private practice, which I knew nothing about. Everything I did was as a prosecutor.
Yeah, right.
And then had the good grace, because we thought Mike Brune, I wanted to be county judge forever. We thought Mike Brune would be there forever. Mike decided to leave. I had only been with you a year or...
Right, about a year.
About a year, and I really... I know... Mike Brune called me over and said, you got to do this. I had such difficulty bringing myself to tell you that I really, and you were so graceful in letting me out of the informal agreement, handshake agreement we had. And it did change my life. So, But back to you.
Wait, and before we get into some of the questions that we may have, give a background about who you are, where'd you grow up, let our listeners know a little bit about David Clegg, the person.
All right. Well, I grew up in New York City, Staten Island.
Oh, okay.
I went to high school in Brooklyn.
With all those Italians in Staten Island?
That's right.
The Scottish guy?
That's right. The Verrazano Bridge changed the mix. But I went to Brooklyn Tech, so I got a little citywide experience at Brooklyn Tech.
Interesting.
I graduated from New Paltz in college, and then went to University of Buffalo in law school.
Oh.
I went out west, worked there 4 years, working with Native Americans, doing civil rights work.
What state? Where did you go?
Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska.
South
Lord.
Dakota, Pine Ridge Reservation.
Wow.
Where Wounded Knee was. Most
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, sure.
I was out there 4 years. Wow. Got involved in a lot of important cases. I was just fresh out of law school, but there was a lot of stuff going on there. And so I got to do federal court work and appellate work and had a lot of success, and then came back here and started a practice.
Interesting. And how did you land in Kingston?
Well, I
was
to
Staten
from
Island?
the city, wanted to stay close enough to visit family. Actually, Scottsbluff, Nebraska was where I was living. I got to like small town life compared to the city.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for that, and I thought Kingston was it. And
was your dad a civil servant? Because I had 4 uncles, all served in World War II, and one was out of World War II. One was a firefighter, police, sanitation. Actually, the 4th one, who's still living, he's like 97 years old, still plays golf down in Florida now, was a jeweler because he never finished high school, and so. But I thought a lot of civil servants down there.
It's funny. My father didn't finish high school either, but he had a job as a bus driver before he married my mother.
Yeah.
In the city.
In the city.
Would
have been a good job.
Yeah.
But he left it to make another 20 cents an hour to work for a laundry, delivering laundry.
Oh, jeez.
And the difference in his life.
Pension, this, that,
and medical coverage, all the stuff that we didn't have, right?
Yeah.
So, but my wife's father was a cop. My wife's father was NYPD.
Staten Island, too? She's from Staten Island? No.
She's from Staten Island. We met each other.
Oh, Jim, a great lady. She is.
My guess is that she's Italian. Do I know her?
No, she's not Italian.
She's not Italian,
no,
okay.
She's Danish.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Blonde.
Beautiful.
Very
She's
attractive,
beautiful and a great lady.
God bless. Yeah. God bless. Yeah. So how has this been for you? I mean, this has been a change from private practice to public life, public eye.
Yeah, the public eye is interesting.
Very fortunate. You're very fortunate the media doesn't cover as it used to.
Yeah.
Because dealing with the media is a real treat.
It's, that's part of the job that you need special training for, I guess. And you are under a microscope, as you said, and anything that goes wrong will be mentioned. You do your best for that not to happen. You talk about the staff. We have a staff. We came in a tough time, right? It's a transition. Some people left. Then you have COVID and hiring freeze, and then you have courts closing.
Crazy
and you
times.
have no grand jury. Then you have
Which is amazing, not being able to do grand jury.
And this is your first year, Dave?
Right, first year.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, it's been challenging is what
Holy
I say.
crow.
It's been challenging. I like a challenge, but it has been challenging.
Yeah.
And it continues to be challenging because courts are still mostly closed. And the biggest thing we can't do is a jury trial, right? When you don't have the hammer, right? When you can't say, okay,
absolutely.
If you don't plead, we're going to go and have a trial and you're going to get convicted.
Right.
When you don't have that, there's no pressure on anybody to make a decision. So we're kind of sitting.
Thank God they didn't do Zoom trials.
And in a way, that's sad, Dave, because but it's the reality. Unless there was a fear of going to trial with the possibility of a harsher sentence than what's being offered in a plea bargain, cases don't move. They just can't move.
Yeah.
But the sad part is, then you run into, and you know this, you run into the fear that somebody might be taking a plea to a crime that at least the level may be something they didn't commit to avoid a possible stiffer sentence. That's what is so difficult as DA and judge, one of the many things for DA. But yeah, without that hammer. Dave, is it Office of Court Administration saying that you cannot conduct a jury trial? Because why not bring in, I know the ceremonial courtroom, and it's not your decision, that is the judge and the Office of Court Administration. It's not the DA's decision. I want to make that
So
clear.
you can't physically distance?
I
hate to use
why
the term
not?
social distance, but-
The upstairs courtroom
It's
holds
gigantic.
120 people. We used to select a murder case in one day, but we would start at 9:30 and end at 5, a day and a half most. Why could not, unless OCA is saying no, why can you not just, New York City, as you know, it takes a week to pick a jury, sometimes longer. Why not bring in 30 people a day so they can be distanced significantly in that room? It'll be tougher on the judge because you have to give the preliminary instructions for each, which takes a long time, an hour, for every one of the new 30 that come in rather than addressing 120 at once. But a jury could be selected even on a major case in a week. And people understand. They would be there for one day and then come back the following week. Is it the Office of Court Administration that's saying no?
There was a plan to have a jury trial out of my office back in November, and that was basically the plan.
Okay, I did not know that.
But COVID got worse, OCA closed
Second
the
wave.
door, and so that's where we are.
So it is the Office of Court Administration, and so everybody knows, the people that are listening, this is not the district attorney's choice. The district attorney has very little to say about when and if a trial occurs. That is the judge's decision, and in large part, what the judge does, or in some part, what the judge does is dictated by the bureaucracy in Albany that's called the Office of Court Administration. So OCA is the one that's saying no trials.
Yes.
That's well.
They're also the ones who are eliminating our grand jury to 1/2 day a week.
See, grand jury I can understand would be difficult, but in the grand jury, you have 23 people meeting in secret in a small space. Now, I imagine you could do the same thing.
We do the big courtroom. That's where we have grand jury.
Ceremonial courtroom. That's
so
great.
it's not the space problem. We fit them in, and all the measurements are there. Social distancing is there. Masking is there. And we use all the precautions when we bring witnesses in, et cetera.
Right.
But we only get 3.5 hours a week. We could desperately need more than that. We've made approaches, but it's not getting there.
It's and that's sad. And I have the head or the person that was in charge of our district when I was on the bench. I've forgotten his name, senioritis. But he was magnificent. I don't know who the new OCA head is for this district, but they worked with us dramatically, and we tried more cases than, as you probably know, any other court north of New York City, but a lot of it had to do with the cooperation of Paul O'Neill, the Commissioner of Jurors, and also OCA. People probably don't understand, Dave, maybe you can explain about what a grand jury is and why a case goes to the grand jury, and are there occasions that the grand jury can be bypassed through either plea bargaining as a misdemeanor or a waiver of the grand jury? Could you explain that? Do you mind?
Yeah, the grand jury decides whether there's reasonable cause to proceed with a case. And so it's set up in our state constitution. It's something that protects the public, makes sure that any case that goes before the grand jury has to be vetted by peers, right? People who are from the community, and they make that decision about whether there is reasonable cause to believe a crime has been committed and what level of crime should be charged.
Now, does every case have to go, and I know the answers to this, but it's,
your listeners don't.
They don't, and I'd love to hear the DA explain it because I'm not there. Does every case have to go in front of a grand jury?
No. As you know, you can enter a plea bargain called an SCI, where you can actually make an agreement with the defense attorney to a certain charge, avoid the grand jury, and enter a plea.
In essence, if a felony, which is the highest type of crime, you have violations, non-criminal misdemeanors, and felonies. If it's a felony and the district attorney chooses to prosecute it as a felony, then the defendant has a right to have it go to the grand jury, right? But the defendant can give that right up.
Yes.
So the plea bargaining you're referring to is doing what on a felony?
So what you try and work out with the defense attorney is what a fair charge is, and also usually what a fair sentence would be. Mm-hmm. So both those aspects are part of a plea bargain. What the defendant gives up is his right to trial. And Don has said this a few thousand times, how important that right is and how you have to be sure that you exercise it knowingly. And so part of the new laws that we have with discovery make sure that every defense counsel and every defendant knows everything about the case they can possibly learn to make that judgment in a fair manner.
And so so a DA and a defense attorney and their client can agree to give up the right to go to a grand jury and plead guilty to a particular crime. But the DA can only recommend the sentence, correct? Whether it's an indictment or a waiver of indictment in SCI, Superior Court Information.
That's right.
The judge is the one that determines the judge determines the sentence, but the judge also has to cooperate with both defense counsel. If you have an agreement, you may have philosophical differences, but the judge knows there are how many? 2,000 felonies committed a year, Dave?
Sheesh.
You couldn't possibly prosecute 2,000 felonies as felonies. Yeah, there are about 5,000 crimes.
In this county?
That was back when I was judge and DA. It's about 5,000 crimes. Of that, I think it was 2,200 felonies. You can't possibly prosecute
6 a day.
You can't do it. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. But so judges typically cooperate with their sentences, listen to the DA's recommendation. I was a little more demanding, as you know. I wanted to know, and we would have conferences for the judge to say, this is a sentence I would give, or I'm not making any promises. On the most violent crimes, I would say, no promises. Take the case to trial or plead guilty, and I'll listen to arguments. Mm-hmm. But in many of the SCIs, which are the less not violent crimes, but
what's an SCI?
A Superior Court Information is the time. Remember, if it's a felony, the defendant has a right to have the case go to the grand jury if the DA chooses to prosecute you for a felony. Okay. They can give that right up. So an SCI is a Superior Court Information that prosecutor and defense attorney have agreed to instead of going to the grand jury and seeking an indictment. The DA has much more control over an SCI.
So time is flying.
We got to get Dave
5
back.
minutes. We got to get Dave back. So I have two questions, neither of which you're going to be able to answer in 5 minutes. But so this is for maybe next time too.
Sure.
One is, how is this position different than you thought? You know, going in, people told you this, told you that. How do you think it's different? At least, and again, you're in COVID land, which is not. It's probably not a fair comparison. But what's the biggest difference than you thought was going to be?
I think
Going
the difference is the amount of work that has to get done at this point in time. Now, part of that is controlled by the fact that we were understaffed.
Yeah.
Part of it is the backlog that's created by the court closures.
Right.
Part of this is from the hiring freezes. Part of this is that we weren't able to add people when you have a new discovery law.
So out of your control issues that you didn't
Right.
really.
And no one could have, right? No one could have put all this together.
Can I use convergence?
Convergence. That's a good
As
one.
long as, again, I'm going to require written definitions. Convergence, is that when you change your religious
I
beliefs?
think so,
Yeah.
something like that. You dip in the water. So all these things coming together, and you're coming in saying, hey, boom, I'm going at this hard, which is your style, right?
Right.
And then you have a lot of things coming together that you just couldn't have anticipated.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Dave,
seriously.
I know you're a person of faith. Yes. I know that because I worked with you, and you were a deacon?
I am an ordained deacon.
Ordained deacon.
Yeah.
Do you struggle at times, being a person of faith, knowing that you are an individual that is prosecuting, that you are an individual that may be locking people up, or you don't do it, the judge does. The judge has the final say, but you're asking for it. Does that keep you up at night?
It is a struggle. It's something, I think if it's not a struggle, then you shouldn't be there.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk right now about a young man who's had involvements that are potentially very dangerous over and over again. But a young man, and didn't have many breaks in life, and abused, and put into foster homes, and all those kinds of things. So you have to weigh that, and in some cases, you have to think about protecting the public, and it's not fair, right? This guy didn't get a fair shake in life, and he's going to have to go to prison for a number of years.
Yeah.
That's very hard. I struggle with that, but I also recognize that that's part of the job.
Right.
And that
Right.
we have to weigh
The
all
greater
those
good.
factors.
I mean, it's.
And you recognize that before you took the position.
I did.
But now it probably is even more prevalent in your mind.
Yeah.
It's a tough job.
Yeah. The other one, and we can, touch on it, and how has bail reform, do you think, changed the position in terms of what's happened, with that over?
And before you say that, I just, to Dave's credit again, and Dave and I, if I were still on the bench, I'm sure we would have philosophical differences. We would. But to Dave's credit, bail reform is not anything anybody really wants to touch upon.
Yeah.
But we discussed it, and Dave actually said, yeah, hit me with bail reform. So,
well, you
tell
only got
us.
a minute, so.
Well, we're
going to
we'll extend it to hear his thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question about bail reform is, historically, people were spending time in jail who weren't guilty simply because they couldn't afford to pay bail. Now, if you go to the justice court level, the city court levels, et cetera, you had misdemeanors where people were spending 15 days in jail on a disorderly conduct, et cetera. Cases got resolved after that because that's all they could get sentenced to. Was that fair? You disrupt that person, their life, their job, whatever. So that was the inequity of the bail. And now, what happened with the legislature is they went all the way, right? They went all the way. Now, I did, right, when I was running, talk about the fact that I thought, and I still believe it, if it's done fairly, if you have a public safety issue where there's really a risk to the public, like there's dangerousness involved in this case, then you should be able to ask for this person to be remanded. Right.
And the ironic thing is that's not one of the criteria
That's right.
that a judge is allowed to
That's
consider.
right. So now-
Public safety for bail, because you're presumed to be innocent. But so a judge is not permitted to consider public safety on bail questions. Go ahead, Dave.
So that's right. But that wasn't what they did. And so I actually went back, and even though I was in favor, and I am in favor of the bail reform to the extent that it helped those problems that were in existence, what I went back to the legislature with, and I spoke to both the state assembly and the state senate about that,
Good for you.
was that there are issues that you've created that now the criminals can take advantage of.
Unintended.
So, right, unintended consequences. So you had people who were committing 5 and 6 burglaries coming in.
Some residential burglaries.
Right, and some burg twos, where you go into somebody's house.
Somebody's home.
So
That's bad.
as a result of those conversations, they did change the bail law again, and burg two is now one of those charges that you can put bail on.
That's great, because
so they-
Burg 2 was
brought
always
in
classified as a violent crime.
Yeah.
As part of the bail reform package, they made burglary second a non-violent crime. Has it now been elevated
right.
back
That's
to
when somebody breaks into your home.
That's right.
whether you're there or
and
not?
in your bed, or whatever.
Whether you're there or not, it's a burg second. In the past, it was considered a violent crime. There are exceptions for everything.
Yeah.
But the minimum sentence for an adult that was convicted of the Class C violent felony of burg second was 3.5 years in state prison, max 15. Once the legislatures made it nonviolent, there's no minimum sentence. In essence, they wanted residential burglars to get probation. Now, there are occasions where there's some residential burglars that should get probation, perhaps some, but to make it carte blanche.
So is it safe to say that they had a kind of a wide berth here, wide
went
range?
too far.
And now it's been perhaps
been better.
Narrowed.
It's narrowed, right. There are more occasions where we can ask for cash bail. And our office takes advantage of that.
Or no bail.
Or no bail. But where there's somebody who's out there who commits another felony while they already have a pending felony, or where they go after the same victim of the first crime again, things of that nature now are bailable issues.
Good. Then you can.
And I know it had a real chilling effect on police officers too. I've heard that they didn't want to make arrests of people because they would arrest them and the judges would let them out immediately. And that's sad. And what happened, Dave is too polite and also must follow the canons of ethics, which I no longer have to do. So I will say exactly how I feel, but use appropriate terms. The damn legislature.
Yeah.
You're right. Bail reform had to occur, Dave. You're absolutely right. And I was one of the people. But it became political, and they were in a rush to pass it. Right. They passed it without speaking to enough DAs. I wasn't spoken to as a judge. I was not. Get the input of people that deal with it every day. They were in a rush to say, I did bail reform, which had to be done. But as you know, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And they rushed to it, and then you as DA and people in the community have to suffer with it. But it has been pulled back, you say.
All right, we have to go to break, unfortunately. Please come back to us at some point.
Yes, Dave, thanks for coming in. Please come back. We'd love to have you
can also
on once a month.
Teach Don the crossover dribble. Maybe that would be...
Yeah, we haven't discussed basketball.
Next time.
Next time. Thank you. David Clegg.
Thank you, Dave.
DA.
Very
Thank you
much.
so much. God bless.
Pleasure.
It really do mean.
Okay, take it away, Lawrence.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
On top of first-class care, you will never receive a bill. The only thing we had to worry about was just keeping Azalea comfortable. St. Jude saved her life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed. We are a global force for good. Support causes that matter. Change lives. Change communities. Change the world. We can do more together than we can alone. Join in. Experience the joy of serving. Be part of the movement. Give back. Let's unite the world for good. We are Lions. You can be too. Visit weserve.org.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
All right, folks, we're back. This is Thunder Thursday, and I'm Tony Marmo.
And I'm Don Williams.
And I'm retired Judge Don Williams.
You got to talk very slow.
Right, exactly. And
no, that was good. Dave was really good.
Dave was great.
Yeah,
yes.
that was good. We get him on as a regular guest.
Yep.
But on the phone, who's been waiting patiently for 5.5 minutes, is Ulster Federal Credit Union's Bill Querbes. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, we're doing great, Bill. Thank you so much for coming on, President and CEO of the great Ulster Federal Credit Union. And how are things going?
They're going just fine.
Good.
Going just fine. We're trying to get through this miserable winter, but some people do like the snow. So, it's
Right.
not this guy. But,
Yeah, skiers like it.
I found it interesting the other morning. I was driving in from Clifton Park, and it was slushy roads and torrential rain. So that was a different combination for me.
Yeah, has the weather been different up in Clifton Park area, or generally the same?
It's generally the same. It's always within a couple inches of what it is here.
Yeah.
I know the storm that's coming tonight into tomorrow, it's going to be a little less up there. So sometimes it holds the East Coast, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's about the same, and the thruway is always in great shape.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it makes us appreciate the first 50-degree day even more, when you hit 50. It's like, oh, my gosh, we're close.
You're done with this, right?
I was going to mention about the Ulster County Chamber, but...
Go right ahead.
Right ahead.
Yeah, no, thanks. Bill, just a quick announcement, then we're going to get to the credit union. So the Ulster, and I know you all are members of the Ulster Chamber, the Great Ulster Chamber, their Foundation 2021 series. It's through the leadership lens. The Ulster County Chamber Foundation has announced the launch of their 2021 series of Through the Leadership Lens topic presentations and discussions, and you're invited to join Foundation Executive Director Ingrid Kulik as she hosts a different topic once a month, offered on 2 different dates and times, I'm sure through Zoom. The topic in February will be Leadership Challenges for New Leaders and Coaching and Mentoring, which I think you do a great job at, Bill, over the years, and you've coached and mentored a lot of great people in your credit union. The topic will be presented in the discussion moderated by Dr. Chris Bacchus, who's the Dean of the SUNY New Paltz School of Business. Chris is a great person, and Chamber wants to thank the School of Business for also being the February sponsor. So join us for a deeper dive into the topic of sharing and questions on the ideas of mentoring and coaching. And so you can call the Chamber at 338-5100. Again, this is going to be a virtual business card. That's another one, virtual business card exchange. But call the Chamber for interesting information about that. So tell us how the credit union's doing.
I will, but I first want to give a little shout out to the Chamber here. I've been, throughout my career associated with 4 or 5 different chambers of commerce, and up in the Albany area, Schenectady, out in the the Mohawk Valley and so forth. And by far, I think Ward's group does the best job of any chamber I've ever been associated with. So,
that's high praise, man. That's high praise.
Kudos to Ward's group, and I think the the businesses too are so involved and so committed to business here in Kingston and Ulster County that it's really a credit to everybody involved.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Shout out from me too.
Yep. No, thanks a lot, Bill. I appreciate that, and I'm sure the chamber does too. And so tell us, how are things, during the pandemic? What's happening to our credit union, and tell us.
Sure. Well, it's kind of interesting because we've been very slow to get back into full swing here. We currently have our branches, the doors closed, but the drive-through is certainly open. When we were open, we did have 2 cases of COVID and had to do some deep cleaning, and that's not something that I want to pay for every other day. So through no fault of the cleaner, but it's just an expensive proposition.
Sure.
We've stayed closed. We're going to reopen March 1st, all the branches.
Okay.
And,
another week or so?
Yeah, another week, and we think the spring is really going to kick in a lot of business. And January, believe it or not, we had a good month for our loans.
Great.
Which is, and a lot of things can be done online now, so that's pretty exciting.
What kind of loans? Is this residential? Is it commercial? Is it?
It's a combination.
Car.
It's primarily home equities, car loans. People are redoing houses these days. They aren't going anyplace. So they're putting on additions. They're changing kitchens. They're doing just about anything under the sun. Changing even basements to be more, like an office. So we have a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
And then as of March 1st, too, we have a new home equity product that we're offering with rates as low as 3%.
Wow.
No closing costs.
Wow.
No application fees or prepayment penalties.
Holy cannoli, man.
That's pretty exciting.
No, that's great. That's great news. That's a great deal. And I guess if you're in the contractor business these days, you're in a good position because there's a lot of opportunity out there. Folks are, and it's great that you're offering such a great deal on a home equity. It's possible that retired Judge Don Williams would like to do some.
He thought the show was over.
I thought I was outside thanking Dave and Dave Clegg and I'm really, really sorry. How difficult.
Bill
I will
Querbes.
say this too, that it's kind of interesting that this is something new in the last year or two, but we also have electronic closing options, and which is kind of interesting because as we all have been there, where we had to go into a boardroom or an attorney's office and sat there for an hour and did the closing documents, but these days you can do everything electronically.
All Zoomable. Bill, I want you to meet, and I presume you never appeared in front of him, retired Judge Don Williams from...
God bless you, Bill. How long have you known Tony Marmo, Bill? He speaks very highly of you, but I can assure you, I no longer have the power I used to have, but I assure you, you may say whatever you'd like about Tony, and you will receive prosecutorial immunity.
Yeah, nobody will hear it, right?
How are you, Bill?
I'm doing great, Don. Just so you know, Don, my principal's name when I was in elementary school was Don Williams. So.
Wow.
Oh, is that right? Was that here?
Up in Gloversville, New York.
Don Williams.
Upstater.
He had to be a very handsome, articulate, bright, and witty person. Is that right, Bill?
Yeah, he was tall.
All right, so
had a lot of hair.
I'm 0 for 1, 0 for 2. Nice guy, I struck out, Bill. That's really...
Gloversville is a different place.
Do you recall his...
for sure.
Do you recall his middle name? He was a Donald Williams. Did you know his middle name?
No, we might have called him a couple different things for his middle name. But,
then I'm sure that...
You're related then.
Bill, I only wish I could repeat some of the nicknames that many of the inmates and some lawyers have said about him. Bill, have I met you? Your name sounds really familiar. Were you ever were you a juror, a prospective juror?
Not in this area. No, I live up in the Clifton Park.
But how long have you worked at Ulster Federal Credit Union?
It'll be 16 years in July.
So,
and you,
Rick Manti.
and you were never summoned to appear in front of county court as a juror.
Probably his
you're
home
lucky.
his home court.
His home is not in Ulster County,
His
right?
home court is up.
Oh, it's still in
so-
Clifton. Clifton Park is beautiful.
Yeah.
I went to law school at Albany. It's a
for sure.
beautiful area.
Yep.
Well, Tony speaks wonderfully about you. So again, Bill, feel free.
when is the check coming, man? It's a little late.
Thank you.
It's a little late.
Well, how are the escalation of homes in the community? How is that affecting what you do, Bill?
Sales are going crazy.
Yeah, it's things have really picked up along those lines, and I know all my employees right now are all saying this would be a great time to sell my home, but they're not quite sure where they'd move once they sold the home.
Right. I think you'd be forced to at least move out of Ulster County and probably New York State.
Well, you make a profit, and then you have to sink it into another overpriced house.
But the profit you make, you're going to pay significant capital gains.
Yeah.
And it'll only get worse, I think, under the current administration.
Yeah.
But,
Well, at least you take unless you take your money and run, but I mean not
you mean
run
run
like
to
South
Costa
America
Rica?
or
Yeah,
something like
Costa
that.
Rica,
But,
Vietnam with my son.
reinvest it somewhere.
Or you could just use the equity too. A lot of people do that. They take the money out of the house. They use the equity to either put it back into the house. They might have a wedding that they're looking at doing.
Right.
Buying a car.
Well, you still face
whatever.
you still face the capital gains tax for that. I know there's an exception for like $250,000.
If you're selling, but he's saying, if you have significant equity in the house,
Oh, yes.
pull it out.
Sure.
That's but you got another potential loan, but still, it's.
But that's what children are here
That's what
for, is to pick up your debt when you're gone, Tony. Enjoy your life as I'm now learning.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot.
Enjoy your life as I'm now learning.
So, Bill, I'm curious about what the the looking glass or the crystal ball you have for, let's say, the next 6 months or so, the rest of 21 or so. How are you at the credit union predicting, what's going to happen?
That's a good question, Tony. And if you ask any economist, they're probably as good at predicting this as the meteorologists are with the weather.
Right. Good answer.
So it's really dependent on who you ask, whether they're conservative, liberal, whether they're an investment advisor, or in the case we just had our federal examiners in here, and they tend to put on a little bit more of a conservative slant on all that. But our investment advisors are telling us by mid-year, with all the stimulus things that are going out, the checks, and with things opening up, that you're going to see inflation start to creep back up, and with that will be interest rates coming back up. And for us here at Ulster Federal, that will be a good thing because 70% of our assets are in investments. So we missed the higher interest rates.
But interest rates are like ridiculously low. I'm sorry.
What are they now, Bill?
Oh, geez, they're. Go ahead, Bill. It's your belly.
No, they are ridiculously low. In terms of it's great for the consumer, but here at the credit union, the margins just continue to shrink.
But what's a 30-year rate right now in your bank?
30-year fixed.
Fixed, yeah.
Yeah,
roughly.
We do a lot of that here in terms of looking at the secondary market. And you can probably get lower than 3% if you're willing to go less than 30 years.
You do a 15-year, it's like 2.5, 2.6.
Oh, for sure.
Really? Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how banks make money on that. How the hell do you make money on that?
You don't make a lot.
I mean, you got to do volume, man. I don't know. That's
2.5.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I remember mortgages that were like 14%.
I was so happy to pay off my mortgage, but in essence,
I mean, refis. Are you seeing a fair amount of refinances?
Yeah, and that's that's happening all over the country.
Yeah.
In fact, some of our investments are what's called mortgage-backed securities, and they're bundled mortgages.
Yeah.
From all over the country, and we're getting a lot of pay downs on that, and that's due to the lower rates. People are refinancing. Those loans are coming in, and premiums are being paid down on the loans themselves, which cuts back into earnings because that's taken right out of your interest income. So, but that's kind of the macro of what's going on locally. And, you see me walking down the street, and if I'm talking to somebody, they're probably asking me what's the lowest rate I can get on,
right.
on either home equity or mortgage.
Is it kind of a bubble that at some point is going to just burst? I mean, the stock market is gigantically high. The interest rates are gigantically low. There's a ton of money that's going to be coming into the economy now, courtesy of another $2 trillion. Wow. A trillion here, a trillion there. Pretty soon it's real money.
But maybe not money. I don't think it's ever real money.
Yeah, it's never real money. Exactly. Let's just print some more, which is why you're talking about inflation at some point, because you just keep flooding, cheap money into the economy.
And the sad thing is, and then people are struggling. And the sad thing is that when you do these $1 trillion, people say what's coming from the government. No, it's coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, well, or your grandkids' pockets.
Or your grandkids' pockets, exactly.
How can you pay back? The country last I knew was like $25 trillion in debt or something like that.
$4 trillion just in the past year.
I mean, it's just, it's pretty soon, what do they used to call it? Voodoo economics. Somebody coined that one, and that was a good one. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be in your shoes in terms of trying to predict. I know the credit union has been around since a long time ago. When did you all start?
80 years. Yeah, it's over 80 years now. We were.
Did you say 80?
80.
80 years. I didn't know.
Two segs formed together. They were the teachers of Ulster County and the county workers.
Wow.
So those are two pretty big forces, and they got together and formed Ulster Federal Credit Union.
Yeah, that's back when teachers were making $6,000 a year, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They were one of the lowest.
And we used to do our credit union business out of the back trunk of a car,
or maybe a station wagon.
Yeah.
It would have been a little more room in a station wagon.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and how long have you been in the biz? Not to age you, but I mean, I'm just curious.
Tony, believe it or not, I'm going on 45 years.
Yeah, God bless.
45
I've been doing
years.
this a long time, and primarily on the operations and human resources side. So
yeah,
the president and CEO thing was thrown at me about a year ago, about the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's been a challenge for sure.
So you've started in the business roughly in 1975, roughly.
Correct.
And so, describe what 1975 was like, and now compare it to 2021.
Well, I know my first. I'll give you a quick story here, but when I started out, I was making $100 a week.
God bless America.
And I remember going to the HR guy in City County Savings Bank and saying to him, Arnold, I really could use a raise because I'm just starting a family.
$100 a week. That's $250 an hour.
He looks at me and he goes, "Well,
that's like interest rates.
Billy, the more money you make, the more money you want." And he turned around and walked away. So.
$100 a week.
$100 a week.
By the way, they called him Billy.
Billy?
Yep.
Bill, some people still call you Billy.
Yeah, my mother did for years. She's no longer with us.
Yeah.
I occasionally am called Donnie.
Really, nobody else does.
It's kind of refreshing.
I know I'm in trouble if they call me William.
I was just about to say William, but you're not in trouble, Bill.
Yeah, not at all. So $100 a week, and
yep.
The business was just a lot different back then, and Don and I were talking earlier about the rationing gasoline back in about those times, 75, 74, and just, a whole different world. And now fast forward 45 years and it's like scrambled eggs now. I mean, how do you figure it out?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I really don't think social media has helped us all that much, but that's a whole nother subject.
It's a whole
I could
nother
be on another half hour talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think that would be enough as far as I'm
I
concerned.
think
Bill.
it's been a game changer. I mentioned that before, and I know the internet is important to a lot of people, and people have
Yep.
made trillions on the internet, and it's improved some lives, but it's also ruined tons of lives and changed our society in a way that, somebody said, well, how about Gutenberg? You're going to invent a press? Well, that's going to change the world, and when someone started writing script writing, what changed the world? The internet changed the world.
It truly did.
Bill, I want to thank you for your support of
Sure.
Kingston Community Radio, and I know the Ulster Federal Credit Union is very generous, throughout the community with various organizations, and so thank you for that, being community stewards and giving back, and we certainly appreciate what you do here for KCR.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that, and my friend Dennis Pitcock, how's he doing?
He's doing well. He's
Good.
hanging in there. I'm going to talk to him today. We
Good.
have an asset liability management meeting
Great.
at noon today, so I'll tell him that you said hi.
Tell Dennis I gave him a shout out. I also want to give a shout out. Frank Falutico, former undersheriff, Ulster
Sure.
County, said to say hello to you. He texted me.
Frank and I were very close.
Yes.
Frank, in fact, put a display on at my retirement dinner from old photographs. It was quite entertaining. But Bill, please tell Dennis I said hi also. Dennis Goodman, what a voice he has.
Yeah, he's got
Dennis
a great.
Pitcock.
He always had a booming, like a low register, like.
He could get your attention rather quick.
Yes, he could. Yes, he could.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And not frequently afraid of giving you his thinkings and opinions.
Yeah. He tends to sit a little right of Attila the Hun, but...
What do you mean a little right? He makes me look like Karl Marx.
Yeah, he does. He's a great guy, and you're fortunate to have him. And he's been associated with your board for years, right, Dennis?
Oh, God, yes. Over 30 years.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. So please tell him I said hello, and thank you
We
for...
sure will.
For, again, all you do, and you've been associated with KCR now for quite some time, and Rick before you. Please say hi to Rick.
Yeah, we'll do.
If you,
I'll be talking to him, too, at noon. They're on the same committee.
Great. And you have a great staff, very personal, very, it's like your staff is very concerned about each person that comes in in your office, in that building. So, and your location is where again? Please tell people or locations.
We're right at the corner of just down from Dysing's on Frog Alley and Schwenk.
Frog Alley.
That's where our main office is.
Great. And do you still have another branch out in town of Ulster?
We do right across from Christina's restaurant, right on Ulster Avenue.
Right.
Yep.
Good. Yeah. So thank you, and good luck.
Okay.
And
Bill, we'll be seeing you in 3-dimensional on the 31st of March for the Radiothon, right?
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
I like that.
Yep.
Bill, real pleasure talking to you, and
you too, Don.
Best of health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, Bill. All the best, man. All right. So good show today. I think we probably could have used another hour or so with Dave Clegg.
I agree.
We just
And
scratched
Dave,
the surface.
I think
you should get him. I mean, I know he's pressed for, but him being a regular guest, I think that would be a good idea.
I'll talk to Dave. I think.
I mean, you guys didn't even get to cover he covered some great things.
Right.
But I think having him on regularly.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah, we used to have Holly on regularly, but then after my father had passed away, and we started making changes, and
I know when I was DA, I was on. I think weekly. It was frequently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you got a lot to say.
And so many people say you really should speak up.
I think I think you got a great. I know before you said, "Oh, Dan's got a great radio voice." I think I think he's got a good one too.
Well,
Tony knows how to pick co-hosts. He's really good at that.
Yeah. Not guests as much sometimes. They don't show up.
No, that's just the last couple of weeks.
I've had it put a different way. I've heard I have a face made for radio.
Okay. Well, I think you're doing a great job, and we're happy to have you here. We're
ditto.
Yes.
Learning on the job from one of the best, Lawrence.
That's
you,
right.
not Tony.
Well, good. I'm glad you're here. On that note, we're going to end for today.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
We'll be back in the morning
safe,
with
well.
Mario and Hugh.
God bless America, and stay well, stay safe, and keep positive out there. Go love somebody. Not hug, just love.
Thank you for sharing the morning with us and participating in Kingston Community Radio, KCR, AM